Hi there. What time did you get here? Our patient Sita have just... Did you run into tons of traffic?
No, it was okay.
Good. Okay. As I say, we're on the chapter on the Master's birthday, and February 1885. We're on page 699 if you're following along at home. Wednesday, February 25th, 1885. Sri Ramakrishna was at the house of Girish Ghosh on Boshpara Lane, Calcutta. It was about 3 o'clock when M arrived and prostrated himself before him. The master was going to see a play at the Star Theatre. He was talking with the devotees about the knowledge of Brahman. Master, man experiences 3 states of consciousness: waking, dream, and deep sleep. Those who follow the path of knowledge explain away the 3 states. According to them, Brahman is beyond the 3 states. It is also beyond the gross, the subtle, and the causal bodies, and beyond the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. All these are maya, like a reflection in a mirror. The reflection is by no means the real substance. Brahman alone is the substance, and all else is illusory. The knowers of Brahman say further that it is the identification of the soul with the body that creates the notion of duality. In that state of identification, the reflection appears real. When this identification disappears, a man realizes, I am he, I am Brahman. A devotee, when shall we all follow the path of reasoning? Master, reasoning is one of the paths. It is the path of the Vedantists. But there is another path, the path of bhakti. If a bhakta weeps longingly for the knowledge of Brahman, he receives that as well. There's a footnote there. Usually the ideal of a bhakta is the vision of the personal God, but not necessarily. These are the 2 paths, jnana and bhakti. One may attain the knowledge of Brahman by either path. Some retain bhakti even after realizing Brahman in order to teach humanity. An incarnation of God is one of these. A man cannot easily get rid of the ego and the consciousness that the body is the soul. I think we all know that, because as soon as we stub our toe, we know definitely we are the body. And we go, ow! So, we haven't identified with Brahman yet. It becomes possible only when, through the grace of God, he attains samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, jhana samadhi. The ego of the incarnations returns to them when they come down from the plane of samadhi, but then it is the ego of knowledge, or the ego of devotion. Through the ego of knowledge, they teach men. Shankaracharya kept the ego of knowledge. Through the ego of devotion, Chaitanya Dev tasted divine love and enjoyed the company of the devotees. He talked about God and chanted his name. Since one cannot easily get rid of the ego, a bhakta does not explain away the states of waking, dream, or in deep sleep. He accepts all the states. Further, he accepts the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. A bhakta sees that God alone has become the 24 cosmic power principles, the universe, and all living beings. He also sees that God reveals himself to his devotees in a tangible form, which is the embodiment of spirit. A bhakta takes shelter under Vidyamaya. He seeks holy company, goes on pilgrimage, and practices discrimination, devotion, and renunciation. He says that since a man cannot easily get rid of his ego, he should let the rascal remain as the servant of God, the devotee of God. But a bhakta also attains the knowledge of oneness. He sees that nothing exists but God. He does not regard the world as a dream, but says that it is God himself who has become everything. In a wax garden you may see various objects, but everything is made of wax. But a man realizes this only when his devotion to God has matured. One gets jaundice when too much bile accumulates, then when one sees everything as yellow. From constantly meditating on Krishna, Radhika saw everything as Krishna. Moreover, she even felt that she herself had become Krishna. If a piece of lead is kept in a lake of mercury a long time, it turns into mercury. The cockroach becomes motionless by constantly meditating on the Kumira worm. It loses the power to move. At last it is transformed into a Kumira. Similarly, by constantly meditating on God, the bhakta loses his ego. He realizes that God is he and he is God. When the cockroach becomes the Kumira, everything is achieved. Instantly, one attains liberation. As long as God retains the ego in a man, he should establish a definite relationship with God, calling on him as master, mother, friend, or the like. I spent 1 year as a handmaid, the handmaid of the Divine Mother, the embodiment of Brahman. I used to dress myself as a woman. I put on a nose ring. One can conquer lust by assuming the attitude of a woman. One must worship the Adya Shakti. She must be propitiated. She alone has assumed all female forms. Therefore, I look on all women as mother. The attitude of looking on woman as mother is very pure. The Tantra mentions the Vamachara method also. Footnote, literally left-handed. According to this attitude, the aspirant seeks to conquer lust by fulfilling the urge. I think that's not going to work too well. The more you feed the flame, the hotter the fire gets. But this is not a good method. It causes the aspirant's downfall. A devotee keeping an object of enjoyment near him has reason to be afraid. Looking on woman as mother is like fasting on the Ekadashi day without touching even a drop of water. In this attitude, there is not the slightest trace of sensual enjoyment. Another way of observing the Ekadashi allows the taking of fruit and the like. One can also observe the day by eating luchi and curries. But my attitude is not to touch even a drop of water while I observe the fast. I worship the Shuddhasi as my mother. I looked on all parts of her body as those of my mother. The attitude of regarding God as mother is the last word in sadhana. O God, thou art my mother and I am thy child. This is the last word in spirituality. The sannyasi's way of life is like observing the Ekadashi fast without even a drop of water. If he clings to enjoyment, then he has reason to be afraid. Lust and greed is enjoyment. If a monk enjoys it, he is swallowing his own spittle, as it were. There are different kinds of enjoyment: money, wealth, name, fame, and sense pleasures. It is not good for a sannyasi to sit in the company of a woman devotee, or even to talk to her. This injures him and others as well. Then others cannot learn from him. He cannot set an example to humanity. A sannyasi keeps his body in order to teach mankind. To sit with a woman or talk to her a long time has also been described as a kind of sexual intercourse. There are 8 kinds. To listen to a woman and enjoy her conversation is one kind. To speak about a woman is another kind. To whisper to her privately is a third kind. To keep something belonging to a woman and enjoy it is a fourth kind. To touch her is a fifth. Therefore, a sannyasi should not salute his guru's young wife, touching her feet. These are the rules for sannyasis. But the case is quite different with householders. After the birth of 1 or 2 children, the husband and wife should live as brother and sister. The other 7 kinds of sexual intercourse do not injure them much. A householder has various debts: debts to the gods, debts to the fathers, and debts to the rishis. He also owes a debt to his wife. He should make her the mother of 1 or 2 children and support her if she is a chaste woman. Householders do not know who is a good wife and who is a bad wife, who is a Vidya Shakti and who is an Avidya Shakti. A Vidya Shakti, a good wife, has very little lust and anger. She sleeps little. She pushes her husband's head away from her. She is full of affection, kindness, devotion, modesty, and other noble qualities. Such a wife serves all, looking on all men as her children. Further, she helps increase her husband's love of God. She doesn't spend much money, lest her husband should have to work hard, and thus not get leisure to think of God. Mannish women have different traits. These are bad signs: squint eyes and hollow eyes, cat-like eyes, lantern jaws like a calf's, and pigeon breast. Girish, what is the way for people like us? Master, bhakti is the only essential thing. Bhakti has different aspects: the sattvic, the rajasic, and the tamasic. One who has sattvic bhakti is very modest and humble, but a man with tamasic bhakti is like a highwayman in his attitude towards God. He says, "Oh God, I'm chanting your name. How can I be a sinner? Oh God, you are my own mother. You must reveal yourself to me." Girish, smiling, "It is you, sir, who teaches tamasic bhakti." Master, smiling, "There are certain signs of God vision. When a man sees God, he goes into samadhi. There are 5 kinds of samadhi. First, he feels the Mahavayu, which is the great nerve current whose rising is felt in the spinal column. He feels the Mahavayu rise like an ant crawling up. Second, he feels it rise like a fish swimming in the water. Third, he feels it rise like a snake wriggling along. Fourth, he feels it rise like a bird flying from one branch to another. Fifth, he feels it like a monkey making a big jump. The Mahavayu reaches the head with one jump, as it were, and samadhi follows. There are 2 kinds of samadhi. First, the sthita samadhi, when the aspirant totally loses outer consciousness. He remains in that state a long time. It may be for many days. Second, the unmana samadhi. It is to withdraw the mind suddenly from all sense objects and unite it with God. To M, do you understand this? M, yes, sir. Girish, can one realize God by sadhana? Master, people have realized God in various ways. Some through much austerity, worship, and devotion. They have attained perfection through their own efforts. Some are born perfect, for example, Narada and Shukadev. They are called Nityasiddhas, eternally perfect. There are also those who have attained perfection all of a sudden. It is like a man's unexpectedly coming upon a great fortune. Again, there are instances of people realizing God in a dream and by divine grace. Saying this, Sri Ramakrishna sang, intoxicated with divine fervor. Can anyone have the vision of Shama? Is Kali's treasure for everyone? Oh, what a pity my foolish mind will not see that what is true. Sri Ramakrishna remained in ecstasy a few moments. Girish and the other devotees were seated before him. A few days earlier, Girish had been very rude to the master at the Star Theatre, but now he was in a calm state of mind. Master to Girish, this mood of yours is very good. It is peaceful. I prayed about you to the Divine Mother. O Mother, make him peaceful so that he won't abuse me. Girish to M, I feel as if someone were pressing my tongue. I can't talk. Sri Ramakrishna was still in an indrawn mood. He seemed to be gradually forgetting the men and the objects around him. He tried to bring his mind down to the relative world. He looked at the devotees. Looking at him, he said, they all come to Dakshineshwar. Let them. Mother knows everything. To a young man of the neighborhood, he said, hello, what do you think? What is the duty of man? All sat in silence. To Narayan, he said, don't you want to pass the examination? But my dear child, a man freed from bondage is Shiva. Entangled in bondage, he is Jiva. Sri Ramakrishna was still in the God-intoxicated mood. There was a glass of water near him. He drank the water. He said to himself, why, I have drunk water in this mood. It was not yet dusk. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to Atul, who was seated in front of him. Atul was Girish's brother and a lawyer of the High Court of Calcutta. A Brahmin neighbor was also seated near him. Master to Atul, all I want to tell you is this. Follow both. Perform your duties in the world and also cultivate love of God. Brahman, can anyone but a Brahmin achieve perfection? Master, why should you ask that? It is said in the Kali Yuga, the Shudras achieve love of God. There are the instances of Sharvari Rutiyadas, the Untouchable, Gurhaka, and others. Narayan smiling, Brahmins and Shudras all are one. Brahman, can a man realize God in one birth? Master, is anything impossible for the grace of God? Suppose you bring a light into a room that has been dark 1,000 years. Does it remove the darkness little by little? The room is lighted all at once. To Atul, intense renunciation is what is needed. One should be like an unsheathed sword. When a man has that renunciation, he looks on his relatives as black cobras and his home as a deep well. One should pray to God with some sincere longing. God cannot but listen to prayer if it is sincere. All sat in silence, pondering Sri Ramakrishna's words. Master to Atul, what is worrying you? Is it that you haven't that grit, that intense restlessness for God? Atul, how can we keep our minds on God? Master, Abhashya Yoga, the yoga of practice. You should practice calling on God every day. It is not possible to succeed in one day. Through daily prayer, you will come to long for God. How can you feel the restlessness if you are immersed in worldliness day and night? Formerly, Jadu Malik enjoyed spiritual talk. He liked to engage in it himself, but nowadays he doesn't show that much interest. He surrounds himself with flatterers day and night and indulges in worldly talk. It was dusk. The lamp was lighted in the room. Sri Ramakrishna chanted the divine names. He was singing and praying. He said, chant the name of Hari, repeat the name of Hari, sing the name of Hari. Again he said, Rama, Rama, Rama. Then, O Mother, thou dost ever enjoy thy eternal sport. Tell us, O Mother, what is the way? We have taken refuge in thee. We have taken shelter at thy feet. Finding Girish restless, Sri Ramakrishna remained silent a moment. He asked Tej Chandra to sit near him. The boy sat near the master. He whispered to M that he would have to leave soon. Master to M, what did he say? M, he said he would have to go home. Master, why do I attract these boys to me so much? They are pure vessels, untouched by worldliness. A man cannot assimilate instruction if his mind is stained with worldliness. Milk can be kept safely in a new pot, but it turns sour if it's kept in a pot in which curd has been made. You may wash 1,000 times a cup that has held a solution of garlic, but still you cannot remove the smell. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at the Star Theatre on Beaton Street to see a performance of Vrishiketu. He sat in a box facing the south. M and other devotees were near him. Master to M, has Narendra come? M, yes, sir. The performance began. Karna and his wife, Padmavati, sacrificed their son to please God, who had come to them in the guise of a Brahmin to seek Karna's charity. During this scene, one of the devotees gave a suppressed sigh. Sri Ramakrishna also expressed his sorrow. After the play, Sri Ramakrishna went to the recreation room of the theater. Girish and Narendra were already there. The master stood near Narendra and said, I have come. Sri Ramakrishna took a seat. The orchestra was playing in the auditorium. Master to the devotees, I feel happy listening to the concert. The musicians used to play on the Sanai at Dakshineshwar, and I would go into ecstasy. Noticing this, a certain sadhu said, this is a sign of the knowledge of Brahman. The orchestra stopped playing and Sri Ramakrishna began the conversation. Master to Girish, does this theater belong to you? Girish, it is ours, sir. Master, ours is good. It is not good to say mine. People say I and mine. They are egotistic, small-minded people. Narendra, the whole world is a theater. Master, yes, that's right. In some places you see the play of Vidya, and in some the play of Avidya. Narendra, everything is the play of Vidya. Master, true. But a man realizes that when he has the knowledge of Brahman. But for a bhakta who follows the path of divine love, both exist, Vidyamaya and Avidyamaya. Please sing a little. Narendra sang, upon the sea of blissful awareness, waves of ecstatic love arise. Rapture divine, play of God's bliss, oh how enthralling. Wondrous waves of the sweetness of God, ever new and ever enchanting, rise on the surface, ever assuming forms ever fresh. Then once more in the great communion all are merged, as the barrier walls of time and space dissolve and vanish. Dance then, O mind, dance in delight with hands upraised, chanting Lord Hari's holy name. As Narendra sang the words, then once more in the great communion all are merged. Sri Ramakrishna said to him, one realizes this after attaining the knowledge of Brahman, then all is Vidya, Brahman as you said. As Narendra sang the line, dance in delight with hands upraised, chanting Lord Hari's holy name. The master said to him, "Sing that line twice." After the song, Sri Ramakrishna resumed the conversation. Girish, Devendra Babu hasn't come. He says in a mood of wounded pride, "We haven't any stuff inside us, no filling of thickened milk. We are filled only with worthless lentil paste. Why should we go there?" Master surprised. "Does he say that? He never said so before." Sri Ramakrishna took some refreshment and handed some to Narendra. Jatin Deva to the master, "You always say, 'Narendra, eat this, eat that.' Are the rest of us fools? Are we like straw washed ashore by the flood tide?" Sri Ramakrishna loved Jatin dearly. Jatin visited the master now and then at Dakshineshwar and occasionally spent the night there. He belonged to an aristocratic family of Shobha Bazar. The master said laughingly to Narendra, "He's talking about you." Sri Ramakrishna laughed and showed his affection to Jatin by touching his chin. He said to Jatin, "Come to Dakshineshwar. I'll give you plenty to eat." The master went into the auditorium to see a farce. He sat in a box. He laughed at the conversation of the maidservant. After a while, he became absent-minded and whispered a few words to M. Master to M, "Well, is what Girish Ghosh says true?" Girish had lately been speaking of Sri Ramakrishna as an incarnation of God. M, "Yes, sir, it must be true. Otherwise, why should it appeal to our minds?" Master, "You see, a change is coming over me. The old mood has changed. I am not able to touch any metal now." M listened to these words in wonder. Master, there's a very deep meaning in this new mood. Was the master hinting that a God-man cannot bear any association with worldly treasure? Master to M, "Well, do you notice any change in me?" M, "In what respect, sir?" Master, "In my activities." M, "Your activities are increasing as more people come to know about you." Master, "Do you see? What I said before is now coming true." After a few moments, he said, "Can you tell me why Paltu can't meditate well?" Sri Ramakrishna was ready to leave for Dakshineshwar. He had remarked to a devotee about Girish, "You may wash 1,000 times a cup that has held a solution of garlic, but is it ever possible to get rid of that smell altogether?" Girish was offended by his remark. When the master was about to leave, Girish spoke. Girish, "Will this smell of garlic go?" Master, "Yes, it will." Girish, "So you say it will." Master, "All smell disappears when a blazing fire is lighted. If you heat the cup smelling of garlic, you get rid of the smell. It becomes a new cup. The man who says he will not succeed will never succeed. He who feels he is liberated is indeed liberated, and he who feels he is bound verily remains bound. He who forcefully says, 'I am free,' is certainly free, and he who says day and night, 'I am bound,' is certainly bound." And that's the end of that chapter, so we'll be starting a new chapter next week. Tomorrow, we have a treat. We have Swami Arupeshananda giving a talk, "Love Conquers All." So I hope all of you who are on Zoom can get here tomorrow. Wednesday, October 30th, we'll continue reading Glimpses of a Great Soul by Swami Asheshananda, the story of Swami Saradananda. Thursday, as I said, 10 o'clock at the Hollywood Temple is Kali Puja. We are canceling the gospel reading for November 2nd because it is the Kali immersion, and our AV department will be on the boat. So no gospel reading next Saturday. Then the next Sunday, the November 3rd, Swami Maidananda will give the spiritual talk, What is Vijnana Vedanta? Saturday, November 9th is a Karma Yoga Day again. We would encourage everyone to come. 9:15, come down to the convent, get a cup of coffee so you can work hard in the morning. And we will have various and sundry. We'll have some outdoor work, some indoor work. So please come. We've enjoyed the last couple of Karma Yoga Days a lot. We have something new to show you on our patio. Okay, any questions about what we read today? Any comments? I always have trouble commenting on the gospel because I think it's so perfectly clear the way he says it. But if you have questions, I'm happy to.
You're talking about a cockroach turning into a chimera. What's a chimera?
A chimera worm. I have no idea.
It's a brumera, a type of black bee that exists only in India.
It's only in India. Vrajapana says it's some kind of a bug.
Hope it stays here.
You can Google it. Those kind of details, John, are.
I Googled
I
it,
get
but
the picture. It's a bug, and it'll turn into a.
it didn't Google very well, by the way.
So, I have a tendency, if I realize, if I get the overall, I don't have to know the exact what a chimera is. Someday I might like to see one, but not really.
That's what Dirac said about an equation. I may not be able to solve it, but as long as I know what it's going to do, it's okay.
Anyway, okay, so we'll see you. Well, I hope we'll see some of you tomorrow. I won't, but maybe Arupesh will on the thing. And we'll end with a chant, sort of. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om Tat Sat, Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Have a good weekend, and tune in to Kali Puja. I'm sure it's going to be live and on YouTube. Okay?
You.